The State of Crypto is presented by Tron, connecting the world to the power of cryptocurrency.
Starting at 9:30 a.m. this morning, House lawmakers will examine the future of digital assets in the hearing titled "The Future of Digital Assets: Measuring the Regulatory Gaps in the Digital Asset Markets." Joining us now to discuss is CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of CoinDesk's State of Crypto newsletter. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
Nick, a big morning on the regulatory front. Who's slated to testify at the joint hearing?
Yeah, so this is the first House Financial Services Committee, House Agriculture Committee joint hearing. So two different committees, both with respective jurisdictions over, some part of this or other. Holding their first joint hearing, they're going to feature, a wide range of individuals. You have former CFTC Chair Timothy Masad, who, in his opening testimony, even comes up with a proposal on how Congress could create some, additional guidance for crypto without really necessarily dealing with is it a security or is it not? Other speakers come from Kraken, Republic Crypto, New York Stock Exchange, I believe, used to be on there. I'm not sure if they're still getting NYSE, speaker, but it's a long list, and it should be I would say a fairly comprehensive hearing.
Nick, there's been so many hearings. Is this one particularly significant in any way, or more likely to lead to any kind of specific outcome?
So this is the first of the many hearings that was actually telegraphed by House Financial Services Committee Chair Patrick McHenry. He spoke at consensus last month and said that the joint committee hearings would lead to legislation. This first hearing seems to be focused on market structure and addressing some of those regulatory gaps for how the CFTC and SEC oversee crypto. Of course, the big question for any legislation is whether or not it'll get through the Senate if the House passes a bill. We don't have a clear answer on that yet, but at the same time, when I asked Congressman McHenry last month if he believed that a law would be signed within 12 months, he said yes. So clearly he's optimistic, and we'll have to see how the hearing shapes out and, whether or not they start introducing bills based on these hearings in the coming months.
Yeah, just off the back of Emily's question to you, Nick, there seems to be hearing upon hearing upon hearing. The memo released with this one kind of talks about the frameworks by the SEC and the CFTC that are left to interpretation when it comes to kind of figuring out if a crypto is a security or a commodity. What kind of conversations do you think we're going to hear this morning?
My guess is depending on, which of the witnesses we hear from, we'll probably hear quite a bit on, whether or not they believe the SEC's current approach is, conducive to companies operating. And I suspect, the crypto company representatives are going to say, not really. The big question, of course, is whether or not any given token is a security and how an issuer or a crypto trading platform like, Coinbase, Kraken, Bitrex, how they can decide whether or not to list something. So we're probably going to hear that there's no clarity on that particular aspect of it from some of the witnesses. But at the same time, I imagine, the bigger question is, what is the answer to that? And again, former CFTC Chair Masad has some ideas. I believe Republic Crypto's Andrew had some ideas in his written testimony. So we'll hear about those different proposals, and we'll see if the representatives who are at this hearing have show any kind of inclination towards a particular response or a particular idea for addressing this perceived gap.
And what step is this in getting, more clear definitions or guidelines? What happens from here?
This is step one, right? The hearings are all part of step one. Legislation will come. It should be informed by these hearings. So, hopefully we'll see signs of, whatever lawmakers take away from the hearings in that legislation. But the first step is to just get the information that you need. And so that's where we are. Once we start hearing the legislation or seeing the legislation be introduced, they'll probably hold more hearings to discuss that. That'll be, introducing legislation, step two, hearings on the legislation will be step three, and then, they probably revise it, address any concerns, deal with whatever issues they might find. and then eventually go through the process of passing it into law. And then again, after that, you have to get to the Senate, and we'll see where the Senate's at in the coming months.
All right, Nick, we're going to let you go. I know you have to get to that hearing that's starting at 9:30 a.m. You can catch the joint House hearing live on CoinDesk TV right after First Mover wraps at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you to CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day. And don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on CoinDesk.com.